Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. People's National Party stands by former Security Minister Peter Bunting amid Integrity Commission report. Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal blasts Integrity Commission over missing details in report. And later in sports, West Indies women to face Australia in World Cup qualifier, World Cup later today. I'm Giovanni Dennis and here are the details. Up first, as pressure mounts for former National Security Minister Peter Bunting to step aside in the wake of an Integrity Commission report, the People's National Party says it is standing by him. The report revealed that Mr. Bunting and another former National Security Minister, Robert Montague, granted gun licenses to people with criminal traces after they were turned down initially by the Firearm Licensing Authority (FLA). Mr. Montague has since resigned as a minister without portfolio in the wake of the Integrity Commission report. Chairman of the PNP, Dr. Angela Brown-Burke, is the latest party official to comment on the issue.
In regard to the report of the Integrity Commission, post their investigations, looking at the details provided as well by Senator Bunting about these two cases that are in the public domain and where we're having the conversations, nothing suggests that the decisions were flawed or improper or that it was anything other than a proper exercise of his ministerial responsibility and authority, and therefore we support Senator Bunting in terms of the statement made, which is in keeping with the report of the Integrity Commission and the details around these two cases.
Now, just this morning, political commentator Lloyd B. Smith said Mr. Bunting should step away from the Senate until the issues surrounding his granting of gun licenses to questionable persons while he was National Security Minister are fully ventilated. Now, in a release last week, Mr. Bunting insisted he did nothing wrong in granting the licenses. In the meantime, AntiCorruption Watchdog, Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal, JAMP, has criticized the Director of Investigations at the Integrity Commission for not clearly stating that the two former National Security Ministers named in its report on the Firearm Licensing Authority (FLA) did not act unlawfully in granting gun licenses to persons charged or convicted for a criminal offense. The matter was discussed on the morning agenda on Power 106. Now Jamila Maitland has that angle.
The report revealed that Peter Bunting and Robert Montague granted gun licenses to people with criminal traces after they were turned down by the Firearm Licensing Authority (FLA). Executive Director of JAMP, Jeanette Calder, says while Jamaicans can question the judgment of the former ministers, their actions were not in contravention of the Firearms Act. Ms. Calder said the Integrity Commission could have presented its report differently to prevent confusion.
Well, we have been focusing primarily on the ministers and the decisions that they made and whether it was judicious, whether it was sound, whether it was in the best interest of combating crime and corruption. The fact of the matter is there is nothing in the report, Jody, that actually points a finger at any of the two. Because I know we've been focusing on the question of Mr. Bunting, but neither has Robert Montague or parliamentarian Peter Bunting been fingered at the end of the conclusions.
Ms. Calder is expressing disappointment relating to how both the opposition leader and the Prime Minister have responded to the matter.
It disturbs me that we got this far into the matter and not one of them have spoken to reassure us about what their thoughts are on the findings and what it is that they are prepared to do. Not even details necessary now. But Jody, I am seriously disappointed that at this point in time the focus has only been to defend or to accept defend one person or to accept the resignation of another. We need some reassurances long before Parliament tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
In the meantime, the Gleaner reported yesterday that Dennis Meadows, a former deputy chairman of the FLA, has resigned from 3 state boards. Mr. Meadows said the report reflects gross misrepresentation of the facts and wittingly seeks to impugn his character and good name. Jamila Maitland, TVJ News.
To other news now, there are mixed reactions from residents in St. Catherine following an announcement last week that the Jam World Entertainment Complex will be established as an entertainment zone for the parish. In reacting to the news, Spanish Town's Mayor Norman Scott says it's time to reopen the entertainment industry. Sandy Williams has more.
At a recent sitting of the Standing Finance Committee of Parliament, Entertainment Minister Olivia Grange disclosed that consideration is being given to the establishment of entertainment zones in different parts of the island. She noted that her ministry has been granted permission to take control of the Jam World Entertainment Complex in Portmore St. Catherine, as it has been neglected for some time now. This announcement has sparked mixed reactions from residents in the parish.
When you talk about most of the people them we park them vehicle in the scheme, and you have man from out of port we come do what they want to do with the people them vehicle. So it kind of cause problem with the youth them and the people them who living at the place the same way. So mainly that mainly most of the inner scheme problem where people are going to face, and some people park at your gate, them are going to tell you bad word because you tell them say you want to come out and them thing there. So me there.
So when
you not go trouble no man. You not go trouble. Because I know 1 month and 1 week, I just work 1 night or 2 days there about. And that would you have eat your food. Bring back people to hustle and work and get a money. And no people that not work. And they can come and have settle food and whatever. I appreciate that.
They need people to go over there and plant it up and turn it in our park. Like how we have Madison Square Garden. It is not going to be as big as Madison Square Garden, but at least we are somewhere where we can go and enjoy ourselves.
Mayor of Spanish Town Norman Scott says he supports the move, adding that the time has come for the entertainment industry to reopen. He said with the downward trend of COVID-19 infections, there is no reason the sector should remain closed. Mr. Scott adds that adequate measures can be put in place to protect patrons from widespread infection.
Since the rapid COVID tests are so inexpensive, you could easily put the emphasis on the promoters to ensure that their venue, all the patrons that come to their events are tested, and once they are negative, the tests are negative, then they are free to be in the venue.
The sector has been in lockdown for close to 2 years. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is to make his contribution to the budget debate on Thursday, and some are expecting an announcement regarding the entertainment sector. Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
We need employees, the cry of players in the island's tourism sector. It comes as there has been an increase in the number of visitors traveling to the island since the start of the year and the return of cruises. Now, speaking with TVJ News on Sunday, Tourism Minister Ed Bartlett said the figure for employment is within the thousands. O'Shane Masters reports.
I'm pleased to advise the country that our tourism industry is back on track.
Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett praising the resilience of players in the island's tourism industry to bring back the numbers to what they were in 2019. The sector has been under pressure since 2020 because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Bartlett noted that for the weekend, some 30,000 arrivals combined were recorded at the Norman Mandé International and Sangster International airports. It's why he says upgrades at the facilities will have to be fast-tracked.
Particularly at the arrivals end, to ensure that there are more immigration points of action, and also that the distribution systems to enable a more seamless transfer of visitors is sharpened.
As for arrivals, Mr. Bartlett says based on the numbers so far, this month could record the highest visits to the island with over 200,000 visitors. He says the various players in the sector, to include craft vendors, will now be able to significantly benefit again from tourism. In relation to cruise,
on Monday, the Mariella comes back to Montego Bay for home porting, and I will be meeting with them appropriately to ensure that the cycle continues. After this resumption of home porting here in Montego Bay, it will then go to Port Royal. And then we'll be back on a full cycle of every week, having the Mariella coming into Montego Bay for the weekend and then moving out to other ports in the Caribbean.
Shane Masters, TVJ News.
And it's now time for a break here on the Midday News, but please stay with us. We'll have much more when you return. Welcome back. We're continuing the news. Persons affected by the recent flooding in St. Mary will be benefiting from government cash grants. Mayor of Port Maria, Richard Creary, also said that work has started to implement an early flood warning system in the parish. Shamila Pullen reports.
Last month, heavy rainfall flooded homes, businesses and streets in Port Maria, St. Mary. Mayor of Port Maria, Richard Creary, says an assessment of the various groups affected was carried out. He says so far they have identified over 900 homes that have been damaged, but help will be made available to them soon. However, for those persons who have businesses in the arcade, checks for grants approved by the Ministry of Labour and Social Security are now ready to be disbursed.
We did an assessment, we sent that to Ministry of Labour. They have come done their own assessment, and I am reliably informed that the persons at the arcade will receive either $30,000 or $60,000 depending on the level of damage that they got.
But it's not just those in the arcade. Mayor Creary said the Ministry of Local Government also did an assessment and have met with business people in the town to assist them with funds to restart their businesses.
We have come up with a figure. He has identified the funds and he is coming back to the parish on the 30th of this month and would want to present to individuals or a sample of the individuals checks at that time, or we'll work out the details of that, but on the 30th, so we have to get everything in place by then.
Meanwhile, Mr. Creary said local government minister Desmond Mackenzie had given instructions for an early warning flood system to be implemented. He said work has started with various agencies on that project. In addition, an extensive drain cleaning project in the parish continues. This is part of efforts to prevent flooding in the near future.
With the amount of debris and old fridge and old stove and all kind of things that were put outside, he instructed us to get some dump trucks to dispose of the garbage, which we did, and sent it to Buff Bay at the dump. Don't have a figure, I don't know if Mr. Douglas has the figure, but I remember in the first day alone, I think they moved some in excess of 10 loads of garbage.
Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
Now time for the Business Minute with Cody and Barrett.
CEO of Grace Kennedy Group, Don Webby, says there is a need for a large regional stock exchange. Mr. Webby raised the issue last week at a media briefing. He said the regional stock exchange would expand liquidity in the region.
The delisting from the Barbados Stock Exchange has nothing to do with Barbados or the Barbados economy. It more has to do with the liquidity of the various exchanges in the Caribbean. Sean, you recall for over 15 years now, I have been calling for one Caribbean stock exchange because I believe it can increase the market capitalization of all listed companies in the Caribbean. What we found in Barbados that the liquidity was very low and it really did not make sense at the time to continue to list. But the fundamental problem that we have in the Caribbean is that the markets are too fragmented. In other words, I believe the way to go is to have one stock exchange, a Caribbean stock exchange, where all companies are listed on the exchange. And I believe you're going to attract new investments, new companies to the exchange. Because you're going to have a deeper market and the liquidity will be there.
Citigroup says it will expand its exit from Russia to go beyond the long-planned sale of its consumer bank there. Citigroup has the largest footprint in Russia of any major U.S.-based bank. On Monday, the company announced its exit will include other lines of business. The bank said the decision will take time to execute because of the nature of banking and financial services operations, but it's moving with urgency to finish the assessment of its Russia operations. Citi disclosed its intent to exit its consumer business in Russia nearly a year ago. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
Here now Sandy Williams with the top regional and international stories.
In regional news, the Bahamas government says it remains cautiously optimistic about the country's progress in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic as it announced a further relaxation of the COVID-19 rules. The move by Nassau comes less than 72 hours after the U.S.-based Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, has de-escalated the COVID-19 travel risk advisory rating for the country from a level 4, which represents very high, to a level 3, which represents high. Level 3 rating advises international travelers to be up to date with their COVID-19 vaccines before traveling to the Bahamas. It also recommends that even if COVID-19 vaccines are up to date, there may still be a risk for contracting and spreading the virus. The CDC recommends proper mask wearing while indoors and in public spaces. On the international scene, at least 2 people have died and 3 hospitalized after a residential building in a suburb of Kyiv was hit by shelling on Monday morning. Emergency services rescued 15 people and 63 were evacuated after a shell hit the 9th floor of a residential building in the Obolon district. The fire was later extinguished. Ukraine's emergency services said rescue operations continue. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Sandy Williams.
And we now head to a quick break. When we come back, Simon Preston will have the Midday Sports.
Welcome back. It's now time for Midday Sports. I'm Simon Preston. Head coach of the West Indies women's team, Courtney Walsh, says it will be a last-minute decision if Deandra Dottin will be included in the West Indies team to face Australia in the Cricket World Cup later today. Dottin aggravated her shoulder in the Caribbean side's 155-run loss to India on Saturday. Walsh says while Dottin is an asset to the squad, he says the West Indies have to think about other matches in the tournament.
As far as I'm concerned, I know she wants to play. She's keen on hunger to play. And if she's fit, she will play. But it was her 2 days, so she didn't practice today. She just did what she had us to do, rest and recover, so to speak. And then we assess her in the morning, and knowing Deandra, if she has recovered, she's going to go out and give it everything she has because she's a fighter. But we still have to look that there's other games down the road after. So if there's any risk of the injury getting worse, then it's something that we'd look at. But as it is right now, she had a couple of days off, and we'll assess her in the morning.
The match bowls off at 5 o'clock Jamaica time. A win would push the West Indies into the top 3 of the table. The Caribbean side will need to finish in the top 4 in order to advance to the semi-finals of the competition. To football we go now as defending champions Cavalier will be looking to bounce back to winning ways as they face Malign's United in action from the Jamaica Premier League at Sabina Park. Cavalier 5th in the table on 12 points while Malign's United are 11th on 4 points. Kick-off is at 3 o'clock. At 5:15, Portmore United will face Dunbeholden. Across the Atlantic we go now as defending champions Manchester City will face Crystal Palace in action from the English Premier League at Selhurst Park this afternoon. City leads the league by 3 points, while Crystal Palace are 11th in the table on 33 points. Kick-off is at 3 o'clock Jamaica time. And to the track we go now as 2017 Class 4 Girls Double Sprint champion Brianna Liston is now the second fastest Jamaican junior sprinter over the 200 metres after impressing at the Carifta Trials at the National Stadium over the weekend. Liston out of Heidel High took the 200-metre title in a personal best of 22.66 seconds. She's now the second fastest Jamaican junior athlete in this event behind Brianna Williams with 22.50. The Carifta Games are slated to run from April 16 to 18 at the National Stadium. And that is where we leave the track for now. For your Midday Sports Report, I'm Simon Preston. Giovanni, it's over to you.
Thanks so much, Simon, and that's it indeed for the Midday News. I'm Giovanni Dennis. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon.